Greetings to one of my favorite countries in the world, because you have such great people with high values and great weather and a potential that is unknown to most. I want to talk to you about accelerated talent management being supported by whole system transformation methodologies in order to really have a great talent management and succession planning effort in your organization. And I'm honored to follow the Professor William J. Rothwell, who heads the #1 HRD program in the United States. He and I have been pals, he tells me, since 1985. And we got something new. We have a transformative breakthrough in talent management. It's the first time that we know of that we're putting together an authentic, true facilitation, process consultation, action research process that engages the whole system with talent management expertise. Bill's the expert on talent management expertise. You know, he knows he's done the research, he's got the answers. The challenge for his clients and for the world is, how do you implement those great ideas? Because, you know, we want to be successful. So, let's start with a little poll. How many have heard the term organization development? Raise your hand. Yes. How many of you learned great talent management practices from Dr. Rothwell's presentation? Raise your hand. Yes. And how many of you wish to support Philippine organizations to economically roar like the lion? Oh, everybody's hand went up, except that one guy with the gray hair in the back. He must be from Singapore. Well, in any case, here's my overview. I'm going to set the stage, share with you some assumptions. I'm then going to share with you the integrated model of accelerated talent management and whole system transformation, and then we're going to close up. Let's set the stage. I have heard at least 5 times that the Philippines is one of the new BRIC organizations. You know, BRIC, Brazil, China, India, you know, that's the future. Okay? Well, now the Philippines is coming into that category. And that your gross national product percentage or whatever is like at 7 to 8%. I mean, that's unheard of in today's world. I mean, that's better than China. And of course, the key to the country beating Thailand and Vietnam is talent management. It's the key to a positive future. Experts around the world are telling us that. So our purpose here today is to give you practices that will help you integrate talent management content, that's Bill's expertise, with the organization development process. Now, what is whole system transformation? It's simply, in this context, it's a systematic and systemic workplace learning and development application that applies to most training challenges. And one of the training challenges or learning challenges or development channels of today is, without question, talent management. Dr. Rothwell says 30% of talent management efforts succeed after 3 years. Woo, who wants to be part of that? So, there's an incredible resistance to talent management because it requires dramatic change. And people resist change. It's one of the most basic natural responses when they're not engaged. And so we absolutely believe that the use of talent management, research, and expertise with the application of whole system transformation, engagement, and involvement practices will increase the talent management process significantly. That's why Bill calls it accelerated talent management. And so using the two can give your country a leg up. Next, assumptions. You want to be a hero. by accelerating and rooting talent management long term, right? Number 2, Bill, you've heard and you have Bill's best practices at hand. And then we need to help you be committed to the classic internal change agent role to facilitate the process. This is not HR. This is not training and development. There's much written about there about the distinction and the differences. Many people think they're all the same. They're not. And we also assume that the executive team will vigorously be involved in some way or another in all phases of the work, and that you must start with and continue to use an enterprise-wide assessment that will give you the state of the situation so that the talent process can adjust to it. And you need to be ready to start to learn how to work in large groups. Like I just told the group in Cebu, at the 39th ARTO conference, that start with 30, then 40, then 50. That's what I had to start with when I was in my early 20s. And now I've been up to 1,500 because there's so much energy. We get to the people. Everybody hears the same message. Okay? The barriers, the borders are broken down between top management, middle management, and bottom management. And so also it's assumed that there's going to be hard and soft measurements around the process. They need to be integrated into the entire effort. But remember what my mentor, Kathy Dannemiller, will say. If you need to measure you've just failed, it should be so obvious to you that there's success. And if you really release the energy in the right way, you're having the right conversation about the right stuff, and it's designed right, that's the key. If it's designed right, hey, it's going to be successful. Organizations and people know what they want, and they know how to get it. It's just that the bureaucratic organization, Kathy Dannemiller says, has arthritis. It's stiff. It can't move. And so the IBM new study says we have to have agile, nimble organizations that are connected with each other. So a differentiator between everything else that's going out there and what we're doing is that we integrate the basic priority business conversations about the business results that then in return inform the talent management practice that needs to be developed. Number 2, let's talk about the ATM methodology. I've got just a new model, just created for you, off the press. Number 1, there's a pre-launch phase. We'll talk about that. Then the executive team needs to get aligned. The internal change agent needs to have their role embellished, and they need to know what they're doing. We need to focus on that. That's key. That's my latest discovery in the world. I'm no longer interested in consulting with organizations. I'm interested in helping an internal person transform themselves as they transform the entire enterprise. That's all I'm interested in. They get the credit. They're the star. They're the superwoman. They're Superman. Next point, number 4. We need to be able to execute action and commitment in a remarkable way. Big issue. 5, we need to have a new strategic, accelerated talent management whole system transformation office. Then 6, we need to learn how to design a conference or a summit. Next, we need to do the summit, 3 days. Then we need to engage every employee in the organization. Everyone is talent. And then we need to have a self-correcting, sustainable journey that's long-term. We want to go beyond 3 years, We want it to go forever. And then this is the new one. And I don't think the Philippines is ready for this. 90% of the organizations are not ready for this. They haven't got their act together yet. And that is the customer drives talent management. So, pre-launch. Let's talk about that. The internal change agent crafts the accelerated talent management blueprint with the CEO and the HR leader. And the roles between the three need to be distinguished and clarified. Next, We need to build a confidential, supportive, trusting, lasting relationship with the CEO. It's key. I remember we were in Florida, National Organization Development Professionals. 200 of us were in the room with Kathy Dannemiller, Billy Albin, Barbara Bunker, 3 most powerful women that's ever lived in OD and organization change. And we came to the realization as a room that all our issues in our consulting went back to something went wrong with the top team or our relationship with the CEO. So this is so key. Next, the internal change agent must be seen as neutral. They're a facilitator. They can't be advocating any idea about HR or about accelerated talent management. They can't, or the organization will resist them. They'll lose their power to facilitate. But the HR executive must do that. As Dr. Rothwell says, when you go to the doctor, you listen to the doctor when you're sick because they're the expert. And the HR people are experts in talent management. And the CEO, the organization needs to listen to them. Of course, it behooves the HR people to be well informed and well educated. Okay? And then the internal change agent is responsible and controls the process. The HR person controls the content, okay, of the talent management world. Now, the CEO controls the content of the business conversation. Okay, so that's pre-launch. You get this contract all set, you get an agreement, you get a blueprint, you're ready to go. Then, the key thing is to align direction for talent management with the top executive team. I remember I was working in London with 1/15th or 1/20th the world economy in the room with the HR directors. We were having a board meeting, and we were in the boardroom at Smith Lackell Klein. And I asked them what the number one problem was. Top management's not together as a team. What are you going to do about it? Hadn't had a clue. So they have to get aligned first. And then in this phase we do an assessment of the total organization with specific focus on talent management. We use interviews, focus groups, surveys, electronic stuff. We want to know about existing and future management performance, clarifying work, what people are needed in the future. We want to assess the whole potential arena. Talent. We want to plan for developing the internal talent and attracting external talent. We want to learn how to retain talent. We want to ensure that there's an appropriate deployment of the journey to the rest of the organization. We want to evaluate the talent management program results in many ways, multidimensional ways. And then we also need to deal with the executive team's content. What are the priority issues? What do they need to talk about in terms of leading the organization? What do they need to talk about in terms of being together? What do they need to talk about in terms of being driven by the customer? That's phase 2. 3, I talked a bit about this, and this is the internal change agent transformation. I figured out the key to success in organization change is the capability and the relationship that the internal change agent has in the organization. So what we need to do is we need to first set up those political relationships so there's commitment and support. And they probably should not, ideally, report to the HR person because they're controlled by the HR person. They have to please them. And then they can't be neutral. They need to report, ideally, as in Boeing, to the CEO. Okay? And they must model learning and change more than anybody else in the organization. And they need, this is so big, they need to be able to predetermine the success of the events that occur so that all will support and continue the process. That's my number one consequence. My number one competency that Bill and I worked on, since 85. And I think Dr. Worley from Pepperdine threw it out of our list, Bill. In any case, It's to predetermine the consequences of the intervention before you do it. You don't do the intervention until you're absolutely 120% sure, and the people that you're working with are sure that it's going to succeed. Next, the internal change agent has to consult and be the process consultant. Bill talks about this over and over in his writings, what he learned from Shine about process consultation. Expert consultation doesn't work, Shine said the first time he ever published this. People need to be engaged. They need to create it themselves. Because the external people, McKinsey, they don't know what's going on in the organization. So many stories about that. And so really another thing they do is what Bill loves to do, and that is they need to institute action research, principles and practices through the process. Number 4 is to execute action and commitments. And they need here maybe to tap project management expertise. Now I'm aware of my time, so I've got some slides that you may see me looking at here. I'm going to provide these to you, and I'm going to go through the rest of it at a very fast pace and high level. The 5th one is there needs to be a strategic, accelerated talent management whole system transformation office set up that's outside the hierarchy. They advise the executive team. No one should have a better pulse of the whole system, talking honestly in a room than them. Okay? And they review the entire plan and replan and so forth. They're facilitated by the, internal change agent. You got the top head of HR there, and or the top head of talent management. They may not be the same. Top technology person, blah, blah, blah. Then it's designing the conference. Oh! That's so important. The only time I believe in consensus in my life is that the group I'm working with, they designed the conference. You can't do it alone. You have to have a max mix of the organization to design a conference of 3 days. And you don't leave the team to go and start the conference until you're absolutely sure to the point that you're going to get transformation and it's all going to work. Then you do the big meetings. Start small, get big. Sometimes you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I just one organization, Allstate. They spent with my daughters. Let's see, where are we? We're in Cebu. Some of you met my daughter. My daughter's company, Allstate, spent $6 million on this process. Out of it, they can document $96 million change on the bottom line. Plus, their organization effectiveness department was created. Now they have 21 people. I mean, that's what's going. That's success from a summit. Next, we want to engage every employee in the organization. Now, what Allstate did is they went off and they had groups of 50 to 200 in every function, just one day. Because the critical mass had shifted and was all for the change, then the other people went in positive, they liked what they were seeing, and so forth, and so they supported it. And there's so many ways to engage people today with social media and technology and all that. And number 9, it needs to be a self-correcting, sustainable journey. It succeeds past 3 years. You got to get better and better. I had a situation the other day where they were doing their 4th year of summits, and I wasn't there. And they said, Roland, we all just agreed that we had our best ever. Well, how do you think that makes me feel? It makes me feel great that their summits were better without me. They said, well, your spirit was with us. And I said, well, how did you know? Well, he says, you helped us have these green and red signs, 8 by 11 pieces of paper we could hold up. We agreed with something, it was green. When we thought we didn't like it, it was red. And so the CIO got up in front of it at the end, last minute, he says, how many believe we've just had the best summit in the history of our organization? Every single hand went up green. That's how we know. So the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. and it becomes a journey, and it's integrated into the organization. Now, some of you are saying, oh, I can't do that. Well, I'm just telling you where I think you should start putting your, aligning your sailboat to this direction. You're going to see, I'm starting to see it already now on LinkedIn, enterprise system change, enterprise organization change. Well, Bill and I, we have a book title by that, but people are starting to pick it up because they're understanding the whole system has to be engaged or it doesn't work. Okay? And customer then drives talent management, but I don't think the world is ready for that. Only a few companies. So this is all dedicated to my friend Kathy Dannemiller. And I have some PowerPoints here for you, and I've got a link to the last interview that she's ever done. She passed away when Bill and I were working with her almost every week. And we were writing a book on whole system change. And we were interviewing, by Bill's students at Penn State, we're interviewing the top, best large group consultants in the world. You know, kind of, they know who they are, and we'd go from one to the other and get a group, and then she passed away. So this is dedicated to her, but this was her dream. I want you, sitting in that chair in the Philippines, to learn how what I do and do it 100 times better than I was able to do it. Because now you have technology. You've learned a lot. You can read this, learn the lessons from the books and so forth, and you can start practicing and you can do it. And so, I want to close with this quote. The big consulting firms sell you fish. The HR community attempts to teach the organization how to fish. The internal change agent facilitator facilitates organization change and learning so that the conditions are right, the culture is right, for each person to catch their own fish. I am hearing today that culture is eating strategy for lunch. And I'll extend that to say that process is going to eat content for lunch every day. And this is a process-driven effort that I believe will help the world in a significant way. Thank you very much. I miss the wonderful world of the Philippines, especially Cebu, because you don't have all that congested traffic, and it's beautiful there, and the people are wonderful. Thank you. Bye. Be good. Do good. Goodbye.